Hello, good people. Welcome to our show. Hello, bad people. Welcome to our show. I don't want to discriminate. Bad people, welcome. I don't know who can call himself bad person, but I hope everyone is good. Especially today, we are going to discuss more about digital marketing, about getting results, and I'm so excited to discuss all what's going on this world with Marcelo Salup. How are you?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for welcoming bad people because that's my reputation among some other people. So, thank you. It's a real pleasure. I haven't seen you in quite a while, and it's fantastic to be here again and seeing you again. So, thank you.
Yeah, it's a big pleasure to speak with you. Especially, we didn't have this conversation for over 2 years. And many things happened, for this time. If, for example, we didn't speak for 5 years before ChatGPT, probably we didn't lose a lot. But today, AI is changing everything. So many things are changing. We need to adapt and we need to find the right way. So something that I'm trying to teach my audience on this podcast, live streams, in my LinkedIn post. Marcela, before we start, just tell more about yourself, experience, background. I know you're a great expert with CRO. You know how to convince people to buy products, because I often see when people projects pay too much attention to get volume traffic, but I don't care if I get a million traffic without sales. I care about sales. For me, it's better to get a few hundred relevant people than a million people who don't convert and don't bring money. So, Marcela, tell more about yourself and experience and background.
Well, the 30-second, or the 60 seconds, guide is I began really early. I started working professionally in advertising at 22.
Mhm.
And I began as a creative. So I worked as a creative in Spain, in the US, in the Dominican Republic, and then for Latin America. Then I switched to media. I worked in media for about 30 years. In media, I loved the whole thing about customer insights, consumer insights, what makes people make a decision. My own master's thesis in the university was about brainwashing, attitude change, and its relation to advertising. And I've, being self-employed or however you want to call it, on and off, mainly on and off, for a few years. The very last one, uh, or let's say the very last formal position, was I was the chief messaging officer for the listening campaign, and I moved to Cyprus uh, like 3 years ago, more or less. So I've always been on the road. I'm, let's say, an advertising nomad. So that's a bit longer than I expected information about me.
Okay,
Uh,
awesome. Yeah, Marcela, let's talk about what's going on. And we know many things going on now. So let's touch all of them, or the most important things, especially today when we have AI search. And many companies switch attention from SEO to GEO, generative agent experience. And I still see that many people use old methods to optimize for algorithms that I don't like it. I think it's exciting time. The main reason because we can get back to the human psychology, to the real marketing, because it's tough to optimize for algorithms. According to some data, many things are changing too fast. For example, if you ask the same question on ChatGPT or Gemini, it doesn't matter, Perplexity, you can get different answers. So AI can reply differently to the same query if you ask even the same question like in a few minutes. So because AI is different, it's not the standard algorithm. And according to some data, 70% of all results are changing in 2-3 months. So you can even find a way to optimize for this algorithm, but it doesn't mean that you can figure out how AI works. It's impossible. So, but if you create content for human being, if you provide something that people love, you can get results because AI works on this way. So Tell, what do you think about learning customers? So before crafting any landing page that should convert to different types of businesses, how to learn customers with old methods that I think today works much better than uh, in the era of algorithms.
Okay, so let's unpack it because
Yeah.
you have put a lot of information into essentially 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I think that we need to unpack a few things.
Of
One
course.
of them is this optimizing for the algorithm.
Mhm.
Personally, by the way, can I use swear words in your live
Yeah,
stream?
yeah, sure, sure. Go ahead.
So, personally, I think it's a lot of bullshit,
Mhm.
and I'll tell you why. One of the things I took about 2 years ago, more or less, I took a course on social media paid advertising buying. So, how to buy advertising in social media. And it was great. I learned a lot. This was about two years ago. One of the things we learned was there is no single algorithm, it doesn't exist. And we learned that Facebook, especially Meta, right? So, Facebook and Instagram, they take engineers and they say, hey, Peter, here, have, like 10 million users and try an algorithm. And then they'll go to somebody else and, hey, Mary, here, have 10 million users and try another algorithm. And you never know what happens. But one of the things that I saw that really struck me was I was sitting in the class with my computer open, to practice buying in social media. My Facebook page had one format and it was showing a couple of things. And the person next to me, even though the person was in Facebook, had a completely different Facebook experience, meaning Facebook was trying something else with that guy, trying something else with me. So whenever I hear somebody say, "Oh, we optimize for the algorithm," or worse, I actually had a potential client that I then declined to work with because the guy was horrible. He told me, "Oh, I've been spending some time playing, gaming the algorithm." There is no gaming the algorithm. There's many algorithms, there's many social media. It just doesn't exist as one single, massive thing. Now, the other unpacking. Let's talk about LinkedIn and let's talk about the real world. I don't think LinkedIn is the real world at all. In between the bots and the scams and the people who say, "Oh, we got this fantastic job for you. Can you give us your WhatsApp?" I don't think it even reflects that real world. But my own specialty is B2C. My own specialty is one company that sells a ton of stuff to a ton of people. What happens is real people in the real world with real worries. They're not in LinkedIn trying to buy toothpaste, soap, pasta, or cold cuts. They're not, or yogurts, or milk, or whatever. The real world includes many, many, many touch points. So that, let's say, like, I don't know, if my wife were like 40 right now, she would be in the midst of making decisions on a daily basis as to what we buy. That includes everything from, let's say, furniture to food, maybe a car, whatever. There's many things. So there's many touch points that really affect your decision making. You might have at some point television, and I gotta confess, as a TV guy, because I was known as Mr. Television way back. I haven't watched commercial television now in 2 years. Okay, I typically either watch YouTube, which I like, or Netflix or Prime. But television has a power, and it's like a tent-like power. So it affects a lot of people, and that's why we have television spots. So those might create a brand image. But then you have much more localized media so that the person might see a billboard, the person might see the newspaper. And by the way, when I talk about newspaper, let's be very clear. I'm not talking about only the print. As a matter of fact, I don't read the print newspaper at all. My wife gets it because she likes it, but otherwise, that's her problem. I don't read print. I read the newspaper, but I read it online. And every
Mhm.
morning, I read the Miami Herald because I live in Miami. I read the New York Times and I read CNN. And sometimes BBC, sometimes El País because I have a house in Spain. So I read like 3 to 5 newspapers on a daily basis. There's advertising there that touches people. And it is not necessarily, this LinkedIn thing. Now, if I touch you let's say a brand, right? Mercedes. My wife just bought a Mercedes Benz like a few years back because she didn't like the Cadillac that I had given her, whatever. So she bought one, right? She was touched by tons of stuff, including, by the way, seeing a lot of Mercedes Benz in our neighborhood. And that is a form of brand presence. So my own specialty is figuring out what is the best combination. I'm not going to call it the maximized or the optimized. That also is a mathematical equation, and there's honestly not enough data. But I combine it so that it makes sense within a budget parameter. How do we touch the consumer to make the consumer go in a certain direction? Now
Yeah.
the guy who goes to Publix is me. So I see how the touch points change. Like I only buy Colgate because I worked for the Colgate company for many years and I launched Colgate Total and a whole bunch of Colgates. So it's brand loyalty in my case. But it really depends on even the product, your channel mix. And I am all about channel mix and I am all about segmentation and I am all about the creative delivery into that segment.
Mhm. Uh, can you tell more about learning customers? I mean, like, for example, I'm hiring to my team new people, and I usually ask them, "Do you use my tools?" So we created a bunch of tools, free tools. They're helpful, and when someone can reply, "Why I need to use your tools?" in order to market them, I reply, no, 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 you can't market my tools because you don't know them. So you mentioned that you, for example, help Colgate because you work with Colgate and you keep using that. So you have this personal experience, personal touch. And for me, it's important when you can touch the product, when you can feel it on your skin, then you can provide like storytelling, personal experience. You can market right. Can you tell more about that? How it's important to have personal experience with any product before making any marketing campaigns?
Well, it it's a broad continuum, right? So at the top level, I worked a lot with car companies. Actually, when I was 22 and a half, I was the copywriter on the launch of the Renault 5TS. After that, I launched Lada in the Dominican Republic. I helped relaunch General Motors in Mexico. I was the media director that launched General Motors in Argentina. I ran the DMC, Daimler Chrysler Media Alliance, DCMA. I launched the Porsche Cayenne in Latin America, one of my favorite cars in those days. So I've been in the car
Mhm.
business forever. And I did advertising for dealers. The number one thing that you can get to sell a car, apart from having the guy talk to a salesperson, is get his butt or her butt on the seat. Somebody tries a car, wow, that is, the ultimate thing. You can sell a car. Now, that is the ultimate touching it there, the reality. But there's many other ones. Everybody knows that if you go to Costco or, before COVID, I guess, or, supermarkets, sampling is one of the best ways to get the reality of the product into the person. You can't sample toothpaste, for example. It's impossible. But you can sample cookies and crackers and soft drinks and yogurts and chicken and whatever. So it is very important, I think. The other part, however, for example, again to cars. If you walk into my hood, apart from the fact that my neighbor 2 houses over has a Ferrari F8 and his wife has an Aston Martin, so he's not normal. Everybody else has two major brands. Everybody around me has either BMW or at least one BMW and has a Mercedes. Everybody. So you start seeing that, and that is one of the most powerful things in marketing. If you start seeing Toyotas all over the place, Toyota at the beginning, nobody saw it. Then you see more, and it becomes normal. It becomes respectable. It becomes something that goes into your short list. And I think that applies to just about everything. If you were to take, I don't know, a very pedestrian kind of thing, a dentist. There are dentists who are, like in offices and they're real proper dentists or whatever. But there's entire dental clinics that have huge buildings, at least where I live, and then have signs and everything. You start seeing that and you become familiar with it. And familiarity is, I think, the very first step. If you want to get, pedantic about it, that familiarity is called awareness. But it is still, at the bottom line, familiarity. You become familiar with that product. Therefore, the product is acceptable.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. I want to share 3 customers with you. Let me explain. So the first customer, my son, he's asking me to buy specific brand. For example, I wanted this Nike sneakers, only this model, So
We've all been
me,
through that.
yeah, I ask why? Because some influencers said on Instagram that these sneakers are the best in the world. So the price plus $200. I can compare with many other brands, types of sneakers, and I see it's overpriced. Basically overpriced. The second customer, me, because I don't care. Adidas, Nike, Puma, I really don't care. I care only about quality and price as well. So if I see quality and price good, I can buy in outlet with discounts, but good quality, So why I need to pay $200 if I can pay $40 for good sneakers, And third customer, my wife. So she usually checks color, some design, some other stuff. So and how you can find out about customers for, let's imagine, you can create ICP, the best customer profile, but anyway, even it's a big struggle for many brands to learn all these different customers. It doesn't mean that it should be one demographic, it should be one specific behavior or interest. They're different as well. So, but they can buy one product. So, can you tell how to connect all these interests to create this ICP?
Okay, so let's begin again. I'm going to use another swear word. ICP. Bullshit. Totally bullshit. It doesn't exist. The answer to that is real segmentation.
Mm-hmm.
So, real segmentation. By the way, your wife sounds more my type than you. Because, for example, my last car, the Alfa Romeo, I went down the list, right? And I go, okay, what haven't I owned? So I've owned a BMW, a Mercedes, a Volvo, a Mazda 929, a Porsche, an Audi. Well, not only that, I own an Audi S4, a BMW 335. So I'm looking, and then a Boxster. So I'm looking around and I go like, Jaguar and Alfa Romeo. Those are the 2 brands I've never owned. Mm-hmm. And I bought the pretty one. I really bought the Alfa Romeo because it was really pretty. So I tend to side with your wife. But real segmentation can be done many ways. The very first one is to, of course, break it down into real segments. And the only thing that there's 3 filters that I use for segmentation. Filter number 1, are they truly different? And I would say that, yes, in this case, your son, you, and your wife are truly different. You have very different criteria for which you buy a product. So, for example, in my case, for toothpaste, which, I've done tons of toothpaste, the taste is basic. It's got to taste good. Like, if you give me those peroxide things, I refuse to do it. So, the taste. But some of the people have other criteria. So, are the people different? The second part is, can those people be segmented via advertising? Can I deliver a different advertising to you, to your wife, and to your son? And in this case, probably. I mean, there's many ways. Digital is, of course, one of the key ones. But if you go into radio, if you go into television, there's many, many, many other ways of delivering advertising. For example, in your case, it could very well be LinkedIn. But, who would advertise a sneaker in LinkedIn? I would in 2 seconds if I had a sneaker company as a client. Why not? People have money. But can I deliver the advertising? So it's got to be, are they different? Can I deliver advertising? And then a third one, because I hate hyper segmentation. The issue is, can the segment, or is the segment big enough to really affect your sales? So if I have many of your sons, will they affect my sales? Probably, because they're sneaker consumption. One of the things I learned the hard way, by the way, and it is illegal. I didn't know I was breaking the law. I confess I did, but I confess it was done on a good purpose. I did a lot of research when I helped launch Presidente Beer in the United States.
Mhm.
And a lot of my research showed that the peak beer consumption ages are 16 to 19. It
Mhm.
is illegal to
Yeah.
advertise beer to anybody under 21. So
Mhm.
I shouldn't even have been talking to those people, but they consume beer. I started drinking when I was 14. I gotta confess. I started drinking for real when I was 14, and I remember being drunk at 14. So to me, it was, like normal. But all of a sudden, you see that and you say, wow, there's a lot of people. So there's many ways then to formalize the segmentation. You can use, media driven segmentation, so that I just define, age and gender and whatever, and I say I'm going to reach these people. Or you can use other methodology like personics or my best segments or whatever, to even segment them further. But the key to all of this is something called cognitive dissonance. uh, that's one of the key things that I learned doing my master's thesis, right? So people tend to be exposed to ideas or messages that align with them, and they tend not to be exposed, or not to allow to come in, messages that are not aligned with them. So you would tend to look at a message that aligns with you, quality and price, rather than, let's say, design or influencers. So you would, even if you had the three messages in front of you, you would probably tend to see the one that most appeals to you. And that is the saving grace. So you segment by it being different, being able to deliver, segmented advertising to them, making sure that the group is big enough to sustain your sale. But then you also rely on cognitive dissonance. And by the way, as an aside, I'm an Adidas guy all of my life. Okay? I have had Adidas for 20 years. My
Mhm.
wife saw some influencer, blah, blah, blah. And then, and all of a sudden, I own a brand of sneaker I hadn't even never heard of, called Hoka. Never heard
Mhm.
of that, but now I own. And there are, $190 sneakers.
Yeah.
So, what can I tell you? All of us are influenced by different people.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Marcela, okay. If we segment, that means let's speak about digital, how to craft this message, especially about landing pages. So that means we need to create three different landing pages for three different segmentation. Let's imagine my son, my wife, me. So we need to craft this different landing pages and craft different paid ads, or I don't know, any other type of content to convince people. Can you explain about technical part of that?
Right. So the first thing, I wouldn't create a LinkedIn page for a sneaker.
Hmm.
It is basically useless. Like I wouldn't, I just wouldn't go that route. But when you mention the paid advertising, yes. So typically, again, you would, let's say, TikTok, okay? Just to move away from LinkedIn into something that is more real for me,
Yeah.
TikTok. TikTok is amazing. So I could craft an advertising campaign, a paid advertising campaign in TikTok that would target you specifically. At a very first level, one of the things I would probably do is see what influencers people like you in your age, position, etc., would tend to follow, and I would reach out to those people. But not only that, I would run the advertising that I think, or I test, because in digital you can actually test, and never mind A/B testing. I mean, A, B, C, D, and E testing. So I would test it, and I would see whether it is drawing against people like you or not. But I can run completely separate advertising to reach your kid, using, again, influencers that he uses, or running in videos that he tends to watch, as opposed to running pre-roll or mid-roll in videos that you would tend to watch. So, for example, let's say somebody like me. And I hate to confess this in front of everybody in
You confess a
LinkedIn,
lot today.
but
I will
you know,
collect all your confesses.
this is my day of confession, right? So when I go into YouTube, right,
Please
what
don't
do I?
ask me to remove this episode because I had 2 times such I really not 3 times people asked me to remove episode because they said something not good.
Hey, I'm a bad person. I can show you pictures. So
Yeah.
one of the things, let's say I go into YouTube, right?
Mhm.
What are my three go-to videos or creators the moment I get into YouTube? One of them is a guy called Doug DeMuro, who is, I think, one of the best automotive reviewers I have ever seen. He's very technical. He's very funny. He has created an audio brand, by the way. Every one of his videos begins, this is the blah, 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 the Alfa Romeo Giulia. And today I'm going to show you its quirks and features. So he has created that into an audio brand. So I go straight into him. Then the other one is a Turkish guy called Enes Yilmazer, and he reviews houses the same way that Doug DeMuro reviews cars. Enes loves architecture. I love architecture. My dad was an architect. I studied architecture before studying marketing. And some of my best friends are well-known architects, star architects. So whenever I see those videos, it just transforms me. So I follow them. And then the other one, funny enough, is a series of videos called Fight Science. Fight Science is an English doctor, he's got a PhD, who teaches you about street fighting and how to survive a street fight. And by the way, my last street fight, I'm 71, was 2 years ago. Okay. So
Hmm.
at 69. So some guy pulled a knife at me and he regretted that. So you would tend to reach me in those videos, but maybe your kid will see other videos. And because of the way we can buy digital, I can really segment the communication that I deliver to you, to your wife, and to your kid. It's just a question of testing. But testing is an inherent aspect of digital advertising. You cannot think about digital advertising without thinking testing. It is absolutely
Yeah,
crazy. So that's the way I would do it.
of course, of course. I don't know how to go ahead without testing because nobody knows what actually works. You need to test. I love testing. I test a lot and I fail a lot, with testing.
Yes.
Sometimes I can fail because, it's not only about to have the right data. It's more intuition. When you have this experience, you can use intuition. Sometimes I can skip data because my intuition can say something different. Because, yeah, I mean, like you can acquire this intuition by having this experience to go ahead, to do something every single day. Yeah. Marcelo.
But if I can jump on that, that is key
Mhm.
because you don't have experience. When you study your experience, you have expertise, and that is where your intuition has its
Mhm.
expertise. So whenever I was hiring people in advertising and they said, oh, I have 10 years of experience in banking, in banking, in advertising for, banks. What the hell does that mean anyway? But if
Yeah.
you tell me expertise, that's your intuition.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. Uh, let's touch more about 7 touches. You mentioned about YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. So, and it's tough to convince customers with one message. That is why brands invest a lot to create brand awareness in various channels. So you can read blog posts, you can watch video, you can find social media post, and then go to the website page to specific content landing page and to convert. So we can lead to the sales funnel. And can you tell, for small brands who just started and they need to compete with big players, and I had this experience, I had clients, and all of their competitors billion-dollar companies, they created own good product, not bad, in weight loss niche in the US. So and we help them to get traffic. by the way, that was not like a small business. Yeah, that was a small business, but they had some recognition, they had some loyal audience, customers, but far from billion-dollar companies. And we found a way how to market them. I told, it's important to consider many channels. We can optimize for one channel to get results, because customers can read your blog article and leave it. Well, it doesn't help with sell. But if you can use various channels and lead them in the sales funnel, you can get results. Can you tell how it's important to have these 7 touches? I mean, like when people can see your brand 7 times before buying any product.
Okay, so back again into these cliches of the advertising industry. How would you know it's 7? Why not 3? When it was on television, everybody talked about the 3 plus.
Yeah.
So people love those numbers. Oh, 7, 3, 2, whatever. And by the way, they're always odd numbers. Have you noticed? Nobody says 4. Everybody says 3, 7. So I don't believe in any of that at all. I think it is a lot of bullshit too. I do not believe in cliches. I think we should test. Now, let's say something complex, a car. Actually, at FCB, just think about this. At FCB, we had a very simple grid that explained that. It is called the FCB grid. It's been cited for at least 300, 400 different books. And at the top level, it has high involvement. And at the low level, low involvement. High involvement doesn't mean you're involved with the brand or whatever, like you would be involved with, a girl or whatever. No. It means the risk of making the wrong decision is huge. Low involvement means that the risk of making the wrong decision is tiny, couldn't care less. Then on the left, you have the sensory decisions. And on the right, you have the sensory. And on the left, you have very factual, very product-driven decisions. So let's take 4 things. One of them is an insurance company. You buy an insurance company for you, life insurance. It's a very, top-heavy thing. If you make a decision and it is the wrong decision, you blew it. Your life insurance company goes out of business, you totally blew it. You've been paying money and now you will never see that money. So you need to reach people along many different channels. You need to establish credibility. And you may need PR apart from media. You need many things. But it is bought also on the left. It is bought on feature. It will pay you this amount of money. It has this amount of accrual, whatever. But let's say on the top and also on the right, a vacation. Dude, a vacation is a complex thing. First of all, most people, not you and I maybe, like I spend 4 months a year in Spain, 5 months, something like that, whenever I feel like it. But most people have to ask for a 2-week vacation in the States. So you have your 2 weeks. And then vacations are expensive, so it's up there. Let's say you choose the wrong vacation. You blew it. You totally, utterly blew it. You spent a ton of money. Yeah. You went to a place you didn't like, and you cannot recuperate the 2 weeks. What are you going to do? Walk to your company and say, yo, dude, I need 2 more weeks. They'll fire you. So those people take many more touches. Those people need promotions. They need pricing. They need pictures. They need digital. They need magazines. They need to be advertised in the very specific websites of vacation sites like Expedia.com or Orbitz or whatever. Well, let's say something simple like toothpaste again. I went one day to Disney. My wife decided that we were going to use baking soda toothpaste. It is nasty. I tried that thing and I go, no way. So I threw it away. I took the car, went to a 7-Eleven, bought a tube of toothpaste of whatever I liked, and then drove back to the hotel. Total involvement. I threw away $1.89. It doesn't matter. There's no danger. So those kind of decisions, they don't need that many touch points.
Yeah.
Because all you need, honestly, to have a small business succeed is 3 things. You need people to try the product. Just try it. And remember, I'm talking more B2C, right? So if you have, let's say, a franchise that has, I don't know, green color sushi. I don't know, whatever. Then you need the people to try it. I want to try the green color sushi. You need the people to buy it afterwards. So I tried it. Now I want to buy it at full price. And you need people to repurchase it, because repurchasing is what's really going to drive
Of
down the
course.
cost of acquisition. And that's about it. Now, let's say also that you're in a more mature curve, right? You also need three different types of advertising. You need advertising that will drive people to try, buy, and repurchase. So that is acquisition advertising. There's going to be people who leave your brand. Let's say I didn't like the green sushi. I left it. I tried it. I left it. To me, it's like you're not even like a new customer, because you've already tried the product and you left for some reason. So I need another kind of advertising that is directed towards people who left the brand, to give them a reason to come back to the brand. I don't know what it would be in the case of green sushi, but you gotta do it. And then there's advertising directed to people who have never tried your brand, and that is a completely different approach, because by then you're known, there's awareness. So if somebody hasn't tried your brand, it's got to be a reason for it, because you already got people purchasing and repurchasing. You got people who even left the brand, and now you got people who don't know the brand. So you need three kinds of advertising, and all of that has to be put into a coherent plan with branding, with digital, with direct, with a budget. So that's what I do. I look at all those elements and I go, okay, this will work. Maybe we quit some time of advertising, or maybe, in the case of a small brand, we say we'll concentrate against two segments. Maybe there's four segments, and we say, you know what? Too bad. Okay, we get two of them. That's fine. You don't have money. And if you go really weak on four segments, you're basically ignored on four segments. So this is not even a question of, oh, I didn't use the money properly. No, you just wasted all of your money by being weak and by not having any awareness or preference. So yeah, it's much better concentrate on two of them, and the hell with the other ones.
Yeah, nice. You know, Marcelo, you are a good storyteller, because everything that you teach, you share a story, examples, you can explain how it works, I love it, so valuable. Uh, but let's touch a little bit AI, because you share like uh, human psychology, what to do, how to convince, how to craft this message, but how AI can help today, because AI is everywhere. We can't ignore this tool. I use a lot ChatGPT, many other. I love Grok. I like Claude. I'm not good with Gemini. I don't know. Probably someone can get great results, but for my goals, I don't get good results. But anyway, ChatGPT, Claude, and Grok, my living tools. But can you tell your living tools and how to use them to craft this marketing message?
Wow. I love AI. Absolutely, utterly love AI. Like everything. When ChatGPT was free, I was there like week one. When they announced the paid subscription, I had a paid subscription day one. Like I just love it. But I use it many, 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 many ways. For example, graphics. One of the best ways to tell a story is to have the right graphics. A lot of us grew up in the era of, like stock photography that you had to purchase. Then, then we had things like on Splash, Pixel, Pixabay, free stock photography. So I have on my computer I have an entire folder called Stock Pictures to Use, which is a collection of free stock photography that I can use, and it's tagged and everything. I don't do that anymore. I go, for example, I'm going to write a blog post about ivory towers. So I just went into ChatGPT and I spend more time on the prompt, and I go, okay, so this is what I need. I need a picture of an ivory tower on a Dominican Republic beach. The meaning of ivory tower in English is this and this and this, and it conveys this kind of spirit. And then I want the ivory tower, blah, blah, blah. So I spend more time on, but now I have the perfect illustration. What One of my favorite questions to ask a client is what happens at the end of the money. Let's say you have a budget, whatever it is, 10,000, 100,000, a million, whatever. And I used it for Colgate a lot. My question was, what happens at the end of the money? You spent 100,000 bucks. What happened? Oh, I sold whatever. Okay, so then that's what happens, right? So that's the goal. So, but I needed an illustration. So I went into ChatGPT and I said, hey, I want a bridge that goes from here to here in a wooded area, beautiful, golden lighting, but the bridge is a $100 bill. That's the floor of the bridge. So I can use it in conferences saying what happens at the end of the money. I start here, I wound up there. Do I have a share? Do I have products? Do I have this? Do I have that? So I use it a lot for that. Then I use it a lot for mathematical analysis. I recently bought some advertising during the Democrat National Convention for a client. And we used many things. We used digital. We used digital out of home, as a matter of fact. And we used some posters and whatever. But digital, we bought programmatic advertising, and we used a lot of different things, offers and stuff. And then I bought something called Unbounce. And Unbounce is a series of really randomly generated landing pages, so that you have one landing page, but you don't know that landing page is going to work or not. It's just an opinion. And you know what they say about opinions. Everybody has one, right? So you don't know. So I bought Unbounce, and then I created 2 more landing pages. So we bought the thing. So then I took about probably like 15,000 lines, because that was like all of the spots and all of the presences and, like all of the banners we bought. And I added, so this is the format of the banner. And I added the 15,000 lines. And then I told ChatGPT, divide the entire thing into quintiles. I want to know the most common combination in every one of the quintiles for content, format, and also the landing page. And I want to know like the average for that combination on the CPA versus the quintile for the CPA versus the entire CPA for the entire campaign. Dude, it took me more time to write that prompt than for ChatGPT to tell me, oh, the most common combination is this. This is the landing page at work. This is the best format at work, whatever. So I use it a lot for analysis, and I use it a lot for summaries. Mm-hmm. Like I was working, I'm advising a client called Fusebox, and the CEO sent me a 197-page PDF about the state of employee engagement. I'm not going to read 197 pages. It isn't going to happen, So mm-hmm. I fed it into ChatGPT, and I said, but I wrote a very careful prompt. I said, read the entire thing. I want to know an executive summary that is between 8 and 10 lines. I want to know the 5 key things that are mentioned here. And I want to know whether there's any financial analysis on employee retention. If there's any financial analysis on employee retention, I want that very specific example quoted verbatim. So I spent, again, more time, and then all of a sudden, boop, I have it. So I use it a lot. The only thing I don't use it for, because I don't need it, is for ChatGPT or anything to write my blog posts or my social media posts. But I started my life as a copywriter. I won awards as a copywriter. I won 2 ADI awards. So I know how to write.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I use it for almost any. Even we were planning a vacation for my birthday, which we didn't take, by the way. But I've never been to New Mexico. And everything I hear about New Mexico is fantastic. Everything. The people are warm. The place is beautiful. The cities are walkable. Everything. But I don't know shit about it. I don't know the difference between Albuquerque and Santa Fe. For real, I really don't. So I went into ChatGPT and I said, I'm planning a vacation. It's a 3-day thing. I want you to compare Santa Fe and Albuquerque. And I want to know about the walkability of the cities, the downtown area, arts, music. I love live music. So music, I want to know about craft bars. I want to know about galleries. I love craft beer breweries. I just love them. Mm-hmm. You got to try all of the different beers. And I want all this. And then, boom, like it gave me 5 pages comparison. And I said to my wife, hey, I think Santa Fe is more my style than Albuquerque. It's more of a city, and these are the things. Finally, we didn't go because I just didn't feel like it. But I use it for everything, everything.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, valuable, valuable. By the way, I love writing as well, and probably I'm biased, when I write and when I ask ChatGPT to write something similar, and I'm biased. I love my writing more. So
Yeah.
uh, sometimes I can ask to rephrase, to edit, but I can't rely on edit everything. So I can't do it. I mean, like some phrases, some quotes, even paragraph, I can, because when you have math, many things to do. Yeah, it's better to ask like second opinion. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm using. But yeah, personally, I use a lot ChatGPT for different purposes, not only for writing. Yeah, it's a great tool. Marcelo, I have the final question. You share a lot of valuable insights. I can create a checklist of all your insights to put to the spreadsheet. How to craft the right message. But I know people are looking for simplicity. And I remember when we created a few landing pages, and by the way, it's tough. It's really tough to put important information and cut less important information from landing pages. I mean, like, I remember when I asked my customer, please simplify, please take away something, please remove. And I get reply, no, it's important. No, you can lose customers, because check out competitors, check out your customers' interest. They don't need all this data. Find only important data, to take away. And I know from this podcast as well, many people are looking for the best valuable tip. Let's summarize. You use AI to summarize insights. Let's imagine you are AI and you need to find the most important tip from all this conversation. What will be this recommendation?
Okay, so I'm going to begin, as I always do, by challenging everybody.
Mhm.
So I remember ages ago, like many years ago, okay, I was a professional rock and roll photographer when I was 20. I love rock and roll. But one guy at the office told me the difference between a child and an adult is that a child gets bored after 3 minutes of music, and that's why rock and roll is 3 minutes. And an adult will listen to an entire opera, and an opera is 1 hour. So the very first thing is, if you can only get like one simple thing, that's kind of childish in my book.
Yeah.
You should be able to absorb a lot of information. We're adults, we have big brains. So that's the very first thing. The second thing is, if I really had to boil it down, and there's a great story on that. You know how there's the phrase "there's no such thing as a free lunch" was created. The
No.
guy, I can't remember the name of the economist, but he was invited to speak to the Knesset in Israel, and somebody asked him, um, the, all of the Jewish law itself is summarized into "do unto others as you would want to be done unto you."
Yeah.
Can you summarize your entire financial or economic theory? And I really can't remember. I think it was Milton Friedman. And
Mhm.
he said, yeah, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And that's because, he's the master of capitalism.
Mhm.
But if I had to summarize everything, I would say two things. One of them is reach, and the other one is relevance. Reach, the more people you reach, the more people are going to try your product, they're going to buy your product, and they're going to repurchase your product. So reach is basic. Now, reach to me has segmentation, but I don't want to overcomplicate it for your audience. Just reach a lot of people, with the right message, the right whatever, but like reach a lot of people. The second thing is relevance. I don't care if a product is authentic. I really don't give a shit about it. I want to know whether the product is relevant. I am sure a Ford F-150 is as authentic as you get. That is an authentic American truck. Big, bulky, powerful, showy. I hate that crap. I have an Alfa Romeo. I have a beautiful sedan. It's kind of small. It only weighs 3,000 500 pounds. It's got almost 300 horsepower, and it does 151 miles per hour. That's what turns me on. So it's got to be relevant to the audience. If you take care of reach and you take care of relevance, you will sell more. At least on the B2C business, you will sell more. Everything else is, an accessory, anecdotal to it. Reach and relevance.
Yeah, nice. I agree. By the way, I completely agree that you can't take one point. You need to learn a lot. It's complex. And I remember when I had problem with my weight. And I thought that only hard training can help me. I train so hard. I run like 15, 30 miles per day. I train on gym like over 2 hours. I paid $60 per session to best coaches, who can help me with that. But my weight only grew, but when I started to learn about the right lifestyle, about eating healthy food, about training to get enjoy from this process, not just try to kill yourself, with this training. Yeah, I lost weight, and by the way, I can share the story as well. When I came to Turkey with my family, and I enjoyed all my vacation in bed. We flew. When I came back to Ukraine, and a few doctors gave me plus 20 pills, antibiotics, and other medicine a day. And I couldn't recover for 45 days. 45 days. That was terrible experience, and I got it. I need to change something, because if common flu, nothing special, and I need to swallow like 20 pills a day, something is wrong. And I changed my lifestyle. I changed eating habits, training, resting, many things. And after that, in 1-2 years, I swam in Black Sea in winter with the temperature below 0 in Celsius. It's like 30 Fahrenheit, around 30 minutes. I have video on my YouTube channel about that. So I compared with the experience with the strategy on Titanic, when people couldn't survive on this cold water, and many of them died like in 5-10 minutes. So, but I did it for 30 minutes. I mean, like on this cold water. Once I tried to swim with the temperature minus 15, but I couldn't film that because my fingers were frozen, and my iPhone didn't record anything. So just no, with this temperature, I don't, I'm not going to work. So, but I mean, like, I changed everything because of learning complex. It's not one simple tip. It's not one. You can't become successful just do 1-2 things. You need to learn to understand the foundation, what's going on. The same with health, the same with marketing, the same with any niche. You need to understand the mechanism and find out the most important elements. I couldn't agree more with that. Thank you, Marcelo. A big pleasure all the time.
Big pleasure. By the way, Grace, you're absolutely right on that. I went from 186 pounds to 136 in 8 months because of the way you describe it. You change your lifestyle, you change your eating, you train more, you rest better. You completely change, and it's multi-dimensional. It really is.
Yeah.
So it's a great story, and I'm going to use it.
Yeah, I lost my weight from 180 pounds to 160 pounds, even more, like 25 pounds for 2-3 months. And I did it because of writing healthy food, eating healthy food. I mean, like, I stopped eating shit. That's it, So just eat healthy food and train, and everything will be fine. Very simple. You need to have the discipline. You need to change these bad habits with good habits, but it's possible. It's possible, and I couldn't lose this weight for 15 years. Pills, shakes, nothing can help. It's nonsense. It's just for marketing. People are looking for simple ways. How to lose weight, probably pills can help. No, eating and water, drinking water and eating healthy food.
Right.
The most important.
No, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Well, Anatolii,
Marcelo, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully we won't last 2 years before we do this again.
Welcome back anytime. Whenever you want, welcome back. Tell the best way how to keep learning from you, how to reach out to you, how to follow you.
Great. Well, follow me in LinkedIn is probably the best way. It's Salup in LinkedIn. Actually, it's Salup everywhere. Unless you want to see my photography, which is photographybysalup.com.
Okay, nice.
So,
Guys, you
follow
will,
me in LinkedIn. Yeah.
yeah, you can find LinkedIn profile in the description below. Listen us on Apple, Google, Spotify. Thanks again, Marcelo. Big pleasure.
My
Big
pleasure.
pleasure. I can become your customer, if you can help with B2B. So let me know, if you can help with that. Guys, I recommend to anyone to reach out to Marcelo and let him know that you found him on this podcast. Okay, guys, love you. See you.
Great. Thank you.